Hey folks, just a quick heads up that this video is quite a long one. There's around 30 minutes worth of a Q&A as well as reacting to old videos of mine afterwards. I totally understand if this is a video you might want to watch in parts and come back to, so to help with the viewing experience, I'd just like to remind you that there are timestamps available to navigate through the contents of this massive 10-year anniversary special. Be sure to go and grab yourself a snack and drink, folks, and enjoy the video. Hey folks, a little over 10 years ago at the time of releasing this video, I created this very channel. On the 22nd of November 2015, I decided to make this YouTube channel and call it Hyrule Gamer. Ever since that fateful day, I've been making Legend of Zelda content right here on YouTube. That's 10 years worth of making Zelda videos. It's crazy to me looking at this now because I always wanted to be a YouTuber, and I'm not joking when I say that. I can actually remember being in primary school around the age of 9 or 10, there or thereabouts, and being mesmerised with some of YouTube's earliest big creators. Particularly Smosh, actually. Smosh was one of the first channels that I really got into, and considering they were Zelda fans and made some Nintendo and Zelda videos in general, I really enjoyed them, and they were probably one of the first really big inspirations for me when it came to being a content creator. This is genuinely what I've always wanted to do, and thanks to your guys' support, you've managed to let me turn my passion into not just a passion, but also a job. This is something I don't take for granted, and these past 10 years have been some of the most incredible years of my life. I've experienced so many things I never thought I would, and I'm living the dream thanks to you guys. I can't express just how much I absolutely love making content. Zelda has been a massive part of my life from a very early age, and sharing my passion about the series is something I've just always loved, and I'm really grateful that you guys are here to watch my content and interact with it, chat about Zelda, and I'm just really grateful. I'm really thankful that I've managed to be going for 10 years strong. And you know, to celebrate 10 years on YouTube, I wanted to do something special to give back to all of you. A few weeks ago now, I made a community post on YouTube, as well as my social pages, announcing that I'd be doing a Q&A special to celebrate 10 years on YouTube. That's this video. But not only is this going to be a Q&A, we're also going to be taking a look back at some old privated videos of mine, as well as some older content from past channels before this one. You guys were all a big part of forging my pathway here on YouTube, and to give back to you guys, I wanted to give you a little look at some of the early stages of me as a content creator. Particularly the ones that you've probably never seen before, and I have also not seen them for a long time. So I think we'll get into the Q&A first, as there's quite a lot of questions and I'd really love to answer all of them if I can. I've honestly not read through all of them yet, as I wanted to give you my first impression raw answer to most of them. I'm really excited to do this, as I've always wanted to do a Q&A video, and I was maybe meant to do one when I reached 100k, but kind of just didn't. I'm sorry. So in some ways this is like a spiritual return of that video, but also just to celebrate 10 years here on YouTube. Okay, I've got the questions loaded up here on my phone, so let's get into it. So the first question comes from Will Toast, and they ask, what is your least favorite Zelda game? So this is a really interesting one, because I wouldn't really say that I have a least favorite Zelda game. I mean, I guess technically I do, but it doesn't mean the game's bad. I would like to clarify that. I love every Zelda game. I don't love them all equally, some I enjoy more than others, but I wouldn't say this is a bad game, but I think my least favorites have to be the Oracle games, collectively. I don't know what it is, I just don't vibe with them as much. I don't really like the color palette that much, but fundamentally, they're not bad games. They're just not particularly my cup of tea in comparison to the rest of the Zelda series. So yeah, I would go with both of the Oracle games. The next question comes from Maxwell Productions, and they ask, who is your favorite Zelda NPC? There's a lot of answers to this. There's quite a few characters I really love, and I've been particularly thinking about this because I'm currently working on a series called The Lore of Zelda's NPCs, so I've been doing a lot of research into different NPCs. My instant answer would be Henna from Twilight Princess. I've always loved Henna. I thought the fishing hole in Twilight Princess was really cool. I've always just vibed with her as a character. I like the history behind her being connected to the fishing guy from Ocarina of Time. I like the whole family you see in Twilight Princess. So I think my answer would be Henna, but there are some other close ones in there like Ashe, also from Twilight Princess. I also adore a bunch of Majora's Mask's NPCs, Cafe and Anju, Romani and Cremia. Oh, there's just so many. But I think if I had to narrow it down to just one answer, it would probably have to be Henna from Twilight Princess. Our next question comes from Chaotic Good, and they ask, do I think Tears of the Kingdom is a good sequel/game? Who's my favourite Zelda antagonist, and why did I decide to make the channel? Okay, I see what you've done there. 3 questions in 1. I like that. Efficient. So, to answer the first question, do I think Tears of the Kingdom is a good sequel/game? Yeah, I think it's a pretty good game. I'm not going to be one of those people who say, oh, it's a good game, bad Zelda game, because if I think it's a good game, it's a Zelda game. That makes it a good Zelda game. I do know what people mean when they say that, though. To get back to your question, yeah, I think it's a good game. Is it my favourite Zelda game? No, probably not. I think it's a really different Zelda game. I think that's fair to say. And I think it's honestly quite incredible, some of the things you can do in that game. But as a Zelda game, in terms of the story and lore, I think it's on the weaker side. But as a game, really good. As a sequel, I think it is a good sequel, but not a great sequel. It was great in the sense of expectation and hype, but I think when it actually came out, it wasn't lackluster as a sequel, but it was just okay. I think I'd say that. My favourite Zelda antagonist is... if I have to pick one, I'm going to say Zan. And why did I decide to make my channel? Well, this question's probably going to come up a few times, and I'm going to get into it a little bit later in the video, so I'll save that for then. Our next question comes from Dark Side of Hyrule, and they ask, what made me get into Zelda, and what do I love the most about it? Well, the thing that got me into Zelda was my dad. My dad is a huge video game fan, and he's also a really big Legend of Zelda fan. When I was younger, I would watch him play Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. I would dabble in taking little turns of the controller, but at the time I was probably a little too young to really know what was going on. I'd probably just run around Kakiri Forest or Hyrule Field and think I'm saving the world. So yeah, I've always been incredibly grateful to my dad for getting me into the Legend of Zelda and just video games in general. I wouldn't be the person I am today without my dad, so yeah, I really appreciate him for that. The thing I love most about these games? The adventures. And the lore, of course. Our next question, or questions in this case, comes from Making It With May. And the first question they ask is, what's your favourite snack and drink? Well, honestly, this changes all the time depending on my mood, but if you're to ask me right now, I would really love to go for an ice-cold can of Pepsi Max Cherry. Has to be cherry. I would probably ask for... It's not really a snack. I was going to say a Chinese-style chicken curry, but that's not really much of a snack. That's a whole-ass meal. But that's kind of what I'm craving right now. That with a nice garlic naan. And yeah, I'm set. Do I think the next mainline Zelda game will be open world or linear? Well, to answer that, yes, I think it will probably be open world. It might have a little bit more of a linear aspect to it, or aspects of linear Zelda, but I honestly see it being open world again, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't, however, believe that it will follow the Wilds era. I think this era is done. It's been going on for some time now. And knowing the Zelda team, they do move on from art styles and eras of Zelda with each game. This has been the longest lasting one, and it feels like they've kind of closed it off now with Age of Imprisonment. So, me personally, I fully expect the next big Zelda game to be a new era, new style, and probably open world. Do I think we'll ever find out who the Faron tribe is, since we know it's not the Zonai we saw, and do I have any ideas who it would be? Well, the short and simple answer to that is no. I don't think we'll ever find out an answer to this, particularly because I feel like this era of Zelda is closing. And something the Zelda series thrives on is mysteries. I'm a big believer that not everything needs an answer. If anything, I think it's more interesting when more things don't have answers, and we just have breadcrumbs like this. It's a really intriguing mystery, and lots of people have talked about it. I don't want to get into Age of Imprisonment spoilers, but there could be a little hint that maybe the Faron tribe were still some kind of Zonai, just from a different era. I won't say more on it than that, but yeah, I don't think we'll get an answer for that, and I think that's okay. The last 2 questions that they left is what is my least favourite / worst Zelda theory I've seen, and what is my best / favourite Zelda theory I've seen. There's lots, to be honest. I don't really have a least favourite or worst, and I don't really want to try and put anyone's theory down, because I think all theories are valid. It takes a lot of courage to try and put one together, and never mind publish it. I'm not going to pick a worst Zelda theory. My best / favourite Zelda theory I've seen, there is quite a lot, but one that's always stuck with me over the years was one that Zeltic made back in the Breath of the Wild era, connecting the Forgotten Temple to Skyloft. That's a really, really interesting one, and at the time, it just blew my mind and I loved it. So yeah, you should check that one out if you haven't already. The next question comes from channel member Magnamat06, and he asks, what is your favourite dungeon in the entire Zelda series? Now, I bounced between one or two dungeons on this, but I think ultimately my answer would have to be Snow Peak Mansion from Twilight Princess. I love everything about it. I love the build-up going through the Snow Peak mountain range, sliding down the mountain against Yetis, and then actually the dungeon itself. It's an old, abandoned, military-like mansion in the middle of the mountains. And there's 2 Yetis living there. I think it's an incredible dungeon. I love the puzzles in there, I like the enemies, and the boss fight is pretty decent in itself as well. A very close second for different reasons would be the Arbiter's Grounds from Twilight Princess. That one, I think I enjoy the enemies a bit more than the puzzles. It's sort of like Snow Peak Mansion I enjoy more for the puzzles and fundamentals. Arbiter's Grounds I enjoy more for the actual battling of the enemies, the boss fight, and the action-packed stuff. So I love them both for different reasons, but the one thing they do have in common is their themes. I absolutely love the theming of both of those dungeons. So I think ultimately Snow Peak Mansion probably edges it out as number 1 for me, but the Arbiter's Grounds is a close second, and depending on the day, it could probably be my number 1 as well. The next question comes from Kakariko Cage, and they ask, other than Zelda, what is another series I really like? Oh, this could be a long answer, but I'll try and keep it as short as I can. So, assuming you're talking about just video games here, the other 2 series that I absolutely love are the Fallout series and the Elder Scrolls series. Both Bethesda series, but both absolute bangers. One of my favourite games of all time, honestly really closely up there with Twilight Princess, is Fallout 3. I always loved that game, and it's the first Fallout game I played. So I have a lot of special memories with that one, and it really just sparked my love for the Fallout series. When it comes to the Elder Scrolls, I'm a little less experienced in the wider series. I'll be honest, I'm more of just a Skyrim guy, but I do love Elder Scrolls lore overall, and I do plan on going back to playing some of the older ones like Morrowind and Oblivion. I just haven't got round to it yet. I really love the Elder Scrolls series because the lore and the history in those games is insane. It's definitely more in depth in the Zelda series, which is quite overwhelming, but I really, really love it. Yeah, so I would say the Elder Scrolls series and the Fallout series are both up there for me. The next question comes from Chaos Incarnate, and they ask, what is my favourite theory that I've made, and what is my favourite theory someone else has made? Well, I already covered the one that someone else has made, so let me answer the first part of that question. My favourite Zelda theory that I've made is probably, and I'm gonna clarify this, it's probably my favourite because I actually got it spot on, and that would be the Lost Gerudo City theory I made. Now, this video came out during the Tears of the Kingdom era, and it was before Zelda Notes had released where we got additional information on the world. I had made a theory that basically most of the ruins around the Gerudo Desert, particularly the ones near Gerudo Town, were actually part of an ancient Gerudo settlement, which was a lot larger than the one we see today. This ended up being confirmed in Zelda Notes, and it's honestly one of the only theories I've got entirely spot on, so that was quite a big moment for me, and I was really happy with that. So I think because of that reason, I'd say that's probably my favourite theory that I've made. The next question comes from Stephanie Lynn, and they ask, why is Twilight Princess the best game of all time, and why is Midna the best companion in the Zelda series? Well, Stephanie, you've got great taste. Twilight Princess is without a doubt the best game of all time, and there's so many different reasons for that. I could honestly sit here all day and talk about them. There's obviously the story, the lore, the characters, the combat, the dungeons, the puzzles, the music, the aesthetic. I just love everything about Twilight Princess. I know that's a little bit of a boring answer, but it is the answer. I actually do love everything about that game, including the annoyingly long tutorial. I do like it. But without a doubt, the best part of the game that we all know I adore truly is the fishing. I'm so obsessed with the fishing in Zelda games, and this is at its peak in Twilight Princess. And of course, Midna is the best companion of all time because, I mean, it's Midna. This next question comes from Bailey Catastrophe, and they ask, what inspired me to make a Zelda channel? And what was my first popular video? Well, my initial inspiration for making a Zelda channel was just watching other Zelda content on YouTube. The earliest memories I have of watching Zelda content was primarily from Zelda Master, actually. I used to really, really love watching his Let's Plays, especially the Twilight Princess ones, and yeah, I just adored what he did and I wanted to be a part of it. And then I started to discover more and more Zelda creators, and as the Zelda scenes grew, I met more and more people. But yeah, the initial inspiration was just watching other Zelda content, but it does go further back than that. Originally, it was probably more the likes of Smosh, who, whilst not a dedicated Zelda channel, they were big Zelda fans, and Nintendo fans in general. So I always took a lot of inspiration from Smosh, and just their content in general. I knew I didn't necessarily want to make that type of content, but I wanted to make some sort of content, and Smosh was probably my original inspiration for being a content creator. I just loved how they portrayed their love for the Zelda series, and I wanted to do something similar. As for my first popular video, I'm sure some of you will remember it, it was What If Link Joined the Yiga Clan? I made this video not long after the release of Breath of the Wild, when we didn't really know what the Yiga Clan were fully, and yeah, I just thought it was a fun, silly question and I wanted to talk about it, and for some reason that video blew up, which for me at the time was such a big deal, and I still look back at that video with really special memories. Even though it's a little bit of a silly theory, it was my first one to blow up, and that means a lot to me. This next question comes from Sensible Trainers, and they ask, are there any memories from playing Zelda that really pull on my emotions? And they also ask a bonus question, got any fun Zelda tattoos? Emotionally speaking, there's definitely quite a few moments across the series, there's probably too many to name. The one that definitely gets me quite a lot is when I go back and play Twilight Princess again. There's not really one particular moment, but just at random points throughout the story, I'll be reminded of certain moments when I was playing it for the first time, and it sort of brings me back. It's mainly a nostalgia thing, and it does get me a little bit emotional at times because Twilight Princess got me through a lot of tough times. It's been a big part of my life. And yeah, I love everything about the game, and I really hold it close to my heart. So sometimes I just get a little emotional playing it for whatever reason. There's not really anything in particular, I would say. I mean, there probably are moments like that, but I can't name them off the top of my head. But playing Twilight Princess in general really brings out my emotions. And the second part of their question, do I have any fun Zelda tattoos? And the answer would be yes. Yes, I do. The first one is, I don't know how well you're going to see this, but the first one is right here on my arm. It's the Decayed Master Sword from Tears of the Kingdom. This is actually the first Zelda one I got. On the opposite arm, I have a Hylian Shield one, which is quite similar with these sort of flower designs. It's not directly Zelda related, but I have HG on my arm, just because, you know, that's me. I do have one other, which is actually on my foot, which I can't pull out right now, but I'll put a photo on screen. There's a Triforce just below my ankle. I plan on getting many more, but that costs money. And I don't have a lot of money right now. It's near Christmas time. Alright, this next question comes from Sipelda, or Capelda, I'm sorry if I butchered that. And they ask, how has your process of making videos changed over the years? From coming up with ideas, to scripting, recording, and then editing. Well, it's definitely changed over the years, but not so much fundamentally, more just the sort of order and structure I do things in. So my actual process of making videos, including the scripting, writing, researching, and all that fun stuff, hasn't massively changed over the years. It's more just been refined over the years. Back in the day, it used to be quite loose and unstructured. There'd be thoughts all over the place, and that wasn't particularly good for forming it all into one. I mean, sometimes that's just how it is. But nowadays, it's a lot more structured, and that definitely helps me to focus a little bit better when I'm researching videos and coming up with ideas. So it varies from video to video, obviously. Sometimes when there's a very obvious topic to talk about, like, for example, with Age of Imprisonment, the Mysterious Construct, that's a pretty obvious talking point. But when it comes to sort of more specific in-game lore stuff, that just comes from exploring the games. One of the things I did the most when Breath of the Wild came out was I just wandered around Hyrule. I just wandered and looked for things. And I've done this with other Zelda games. Occasionally I'll go back to games like Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, and I'll just explore the world and try to spot little details I've maybe not seen before, or maybe I'll see them again but have a different thought on them with some new information from a new game. Yeah, I would say probably the biggest thing for coming up with ideas was just exploring the worlds and looking for obscure details or points of interest to talk about. I'd note them down, even if they were the most boring random things that I might not ever talk about, I just wrote them down anyway. That is probably one thing I would recommend. Just write all your ideas down, even if they don't make sense, even if they're not going to become a video. Just write them down. You never know. You might have more thoughts that come to mind later, or you might find something else that connects to that. So I just write a lot of stuff down. Another thing I do is I often like reading through Zelda books, such as the Encyclopedia, Hyrule Historia, guidebooks, things like that. I always enjoy reading through those and trying to pick out new ideas or interesting things to talk about. From there, once I've got an idea, it will go to researching it further, scripting, proofreading, stuff like that. I'll often make the thumbnail during this time because I really like to have my thumbnail done early, so I've got a sort of visual I can see at the top of my script. I don't know why, I've always preferred that. And then obviously once the script's done, been proofread, and I'm pretty happy with it, I'll get to recording it, editing the audio, and then editing the video. This next question comes from Michu Sands, and they asked, what parts of being a content creator, Zelda or just in general, was I not expecting? Oh, that's a really good question. I really like that one. Not to feed into my own ego, but I actually love being asked questions about being a content creator. I really love telling people about it. Yeah, thank you for that question. To answer it, on the other hand, some of the things I wasn't really expecting with it was actually how difficult it is to get out of bed sometimes. That's one of the things I've really struggled with over the years and still struggle with today. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but I am my own boss. I don't have someone to tell me, get up, go make videos, go work, go make money, go, get up. It's quite difficult. I really don't want to sound like an entitled content creator. I'm definitely not. I'm extremely grateful for being able to do this. But if you've ever been self-employed or worked for yourself or anything like that, I think you'll definitely understand what I mean, that it's different when you don't have the pressure of, oh, I need to get up, leave the house and be at this place for a certain time. It's sort of a little bit more relaxed, which can also be a very good thing, because a lot of the time I work better having, a little more sleep and then being able to just work on my own time. But it does come with the negative of, I don't feel like you necessarily have as much of a pressure on you. Even though you do, because if I don't work, I obviously don't make money. If I don't make money, I don't have a place to live, etc. So it's a little bit of a weird one, and that's why I didn't really expect that. I expected every single day I'd just be up and at it, and a lot of days I am. There's more days than I expected where I sometimes struggle to just be up and instantly get to work and all that, because there's less of a routine. Whereas if you're going to an actual workplace, you've got a morning routine. You get up, you brush your teeth, maybe breakfast is on the way, you've got your commute. It's a structured routine. Whereas working at home, especially for me right now, where my office is part of my bedroom, it is sort of just like I get up, I go to my desk. So it's a little bit different. But again, I don't want to sound entitled or anything like that. I'm absolutely not. I'm extremely grateful for this job. That's just one of the things I didn't really expect, I guess you could say. The next question comes from Robert, and they'd like to know a little bit more about my story. What was life like before becoming a Zelda tuber? What got me started with the channel? And how has my life been impacted now that my channel's growing? In terms of how this has impacted my life as my channel's growing, the main thing I could say that's had an impact on me is my confidence. I've definitely become a much more confident person in how I speak, how I present, and all those sort of things. It definitely took a long time to get there, because even though I make videos for thousands of people online, I'm quite an anxious person. I definitely deal with anxiety and awkwardness and things like that. And even right now on camera, I find this a little awkward because I'm just sitting in my room talking to a camera, but I know in reality I'm talking to all of you guys. So yeah, I've definitely noticed that I've grown a lot in terms of confidence, on-camera presence, presentation. That's probably the biggest impact on my life, because that extends to life out with making YouTube videos. I'm a much more confident person talking to my friends, meeting new people, doing new things. So yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest impact this has had on my life. Okay, this next question comes from Moxie Watts, and they ask, what do I do to stay in shape? I look very healthy. Well, first of all, thank you, Moxie. I really appreciate that. Second of all, let me just touch a little bit on my history with fitness and stuff real quick. I'm sure some of you may know, and also those who have watched older videos, I didn't always look like this. I used to be very overweight. To be specific, the heaviest I ever remember weighing myself was 327 pounds. Yeah, I'm around 5'11", 6 foot on a good day, and yeah, I used to be really heavy is what I'm trying to say. And over the years, I've been losing weight, but it's not really been until the last year and a half that I really started to shed weight off a lot quicker. And that's because I started having a lot more focus on my diet and fitness. Yeah, I've worked very hard to get to this point. Most of what I do in the gym is weight training. I do upper, lower body splits. I really enjoy it. It's really good for me mentally, and it makes me feel good. I do a lot of cardio. I'm a big fan of hiking. If you follow me on any of my social pages, you probably know that because I post photos all the time. So I do a lot of hiking, and that's obviously fantastic cardio. Keeps you fit, keeps you healthy. It's It's good for your mind as well to, just get out and see some beautiful scenes. When it comes to staying in shape, I definitely think that the diet is the most important part. You can't out-train a bad diet, basically. To sort of simplify that answer, the things I do to stay in shape are I stay consistent with my workouts, I keep my diet pretty clean, and yeah, that's about it really. But I will say this, I'm not someone who just eats consistently like clean whole foods every day. By no means. I absolutely love food. I mean, fucking look at this boy. That is a man who loves his food. I've just learned to control it because I would be eating what I'd now consider like a cheat meal basically every day, 3 meals a day. I used to eat so much, and that's the thing. I love food. I love trying new food. I love making food. I love to eat. But yeah, I definitely don't eat clean 100% of the time. At least a few times a week, I'll probably have some sort of fast food or cheat meal or, I don't know, chocolate, candy, whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I like eat properly healthy all the time. I definitely don't. It's just finding a balance in what works for you. And that extends to the working out. Like, I wouldn't say I go in 4 times a week and like absolutely destroy my body. I do what I can keep up with consistently, because ultimately consistency is the main thing. Do something you can stay consistent with and you'll stick to it. So these next questions have been sent in by Jerry One Eye, though they're from their sister, who just doesn't have the ability to comment. So the first question is, which Legend of Zelda game was the first one I played, and how old was I? If I had to guesstimate, it was probably somewhere around 4 or 5 years old, and if you want to get technical, it would have probably been Ocarina of Time, when I was earlier referring to me just running around Hyrule Field aimlessly. But the first game I properly played for myself would have been the Minish Cap. My very first console was the Game Boy Advance SP, and the first Zelda game I properly played for myself was the Minish Cap, which is also, to this day, my favourite 2D top-down Zelda game. The next question they ask is, did I ever get burnt out from playing a certain Zelda game? And if so, which ones? How long did it last? Honestly, I've never really been burnt out from playing a Zelda game. I guess to some degree you could say I got a little bit burnt out with Tears of the Kingdom, just because it felt like I was trying to explore everything again to find new details, but I was just seeing a lot of the same stuff, so it felt very repetitive. And that did burn me out a little bit, not necessarily like a full-on burnout where I just couldn't play the game, but it felt like a chore to keep doing that, and there were times where I just put the controller down and I was like, I've had enough. I wouldn't say I've ever properly been burnt out from a Zelda game, but I'd say the closest thing to that would have been with Tears of the Kingdom. This next question comes from Rin, and they ask, since doing some more voice acting, have you considered pursuing it more in other ways? Now, this is in reference to the recent project I took part in called Destined to Drown, which was actually made by Rin, and it was an incredible experience and I really enjoyed it. Over the years, I've done a little bit of voicing work, just for the odd fanfic here or there, but it's something that I've really enjoyed. I've never really dabbled too much into it beyond that, because I just find I don't really have the time to do it more consistently, but I do enjoy doing it every now and then as a sort of side project. I'm not sure if I'll go any further into it in the future, but I'd definitely be interested in doing stuff like that again, just probably not as a consistent thing. And to round the Q&A section off, this last question comes from Shika Cake, and they ask, what's been the best memory and or achievement I've had since starting YouTube? Oh my god, there's honestly been so many different memories and achievements. I think as far as achievements go, the biggest would have to be reaching the 100,000 subscriber milestone. You can see right behind me that I have the 100k plaque on the wall, and to me that is the coolest thing ever. I remember the day it arrived and how ecstatic I was. I remember the day I hit 100,000 subscribers. And honestly, that means so much to me because, as I said earlier, I always wanted to be a YouTuber. This has always been my dream, and getting that award almost felt like that was the confirmation that I'd done that and I'd made it. That made me feel so established, so proud, and it just gave me a sort of self-confidence boost, I guess you could say. Really, that to me, that felt like the moment that I'd made it. And oh my god, it's crazy to me that I actually managed to achieve that, because whenever I saw people with their own 100k plaques, which wasn't even that version of it, it was the old version, I wanted nothing more than to have my own, and I just kept going and kept going. I kept pushing through. I made videos even when I felt like things weren't going well. I just kept going, and I got there in the end, and the channel's still thriving today. So my biggest achievement is without a doubt reaching 100,000 subscribers. In terms of best memory, there's honestly so many I could count. I mean, I went to my first convention through this channel. I went down to Insomnia. I met who is now one of my closest friends in the world, Triforce Trends, which is just incredible memories for me looking back at going to Insomnia for the first time and the second time. And nowadays we just meet up to hang out and do things because he really is one of my closest friends in the world, and I really, really appreciate him. And yeah, those are great memories for me. I think being able to collaborate with creators that I always looked up to, particularly when I was an up-and-coming channel. I have so many different amazing memories with this channel that I couldn't list them all, but I think if I had to name one that really means a lot to me, it would be meeting Triforce Trends for the first time down at Insomnia, and everything that's happened between me and him since then. Yeah, that's a really good memory for me, and many more to come. So that concludes the Q&A segment of the video. I got through most of the questions, but there was honestly quite a lot. I'm going to go back and reply to the ones that I haven't managed to include in the video, as I still want to answer your questions to some capacity. Thank you everyone for sending in your questions, it really means the world to me, and I hope I answered them to the best of my ability. But that's not all for this video, there is still more to come. Next up, we're going to look back at some of my older videos, some which are privated, and some which are on even older channels. So with that, let's go back and watch some old Hyrule Gamer videos. Alright, it's time to take a look back at some old videos of mine, and I've not done this in a little while, so this is a little bit nerve-wracking, you know? I've not looked back at some of these old videos in a while, particularly the ones on older channels, but we're going to get started with some old Hyrule Gamer videos. So there's obviously the ones that are public, which you yourself can go back and watch if you so dare, but there's also a few that I have privated over the years, and have been private for a long time. For most of you, are never before seen. So let's have a look at some pretty interesting ones. The first one I want to take a little peek at is called 5 Things You Probably Didn't Know About Me. This is when I was still sort of finding my feet as a content creator on this channel and figuring out exactly what I wanted to do. So let's take a look at this video.
Yo guys, Hyrule Gamer here today, and as you can see the title down below, it's 5 things about me basically. I didn't have this video planned originally. I had a countdown video, believe it or not, new to the channel, which I will try to get out soon. It's because my recording and editing software is not working at the moment, so try to get that fixed. Now, I already tried to record this video.
Yeah, back in the day, I used to have a pretty janky setup, which would almost always fail on me. I always had softwares crashing, I was always losing files. It wasn't ideal, but I kept pushing through it. And I believe this video was actually recorded on my mum's laptop, believe it or not. I used to record videos on there all the time in high school, and I think this was one of them.
It's coming in at number 1.
Number 1.
I'm Scottish. I don't know if you can tell from my accent. I'm Scottish. I don't know if you can tell from my accent. I'm Scottish! Second fact.
Oh, second fact already.
Years old. Now, some people said I've looked younger than that. So
I was 14 when I recorded this. Isn't that crazy? 14 years old when I recorded this. That's, oh my god, what a baby.
Moving on to number 3, I'm a huge Zelda fan now. As you guys know, the channel's based around Zelda.
Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that a channel called Hyrule Gamer, a boy wearing a Breath of the Wild shirt with a Triforce hat on, is a Zelda fan? You wouldn't have known.
There are Nintendo games and Nintendo theories and stuff like that.
I'd also just like to point out the fact that that music you're hearing in the background of the video was not edited in. That was actually, I remember this, I played the music out loud as I recorded this. That's how janky my sort of setup and to making videos was back in the day. But you know, I just loved making videos, so I didn't really care. I just made videos.
Now, the 4th fact is going to be, I have a huge fear of spiders. Now, I don't want to keep on this one too long because I really don't like talking about it. I believe...
Now, that is an interesting thing to include. You know, 5 things you probably didn't know about me. Get you into my channel. You know, I'm Scottish, I like Zelda, I'm scared of spiders. You know, it's just pretty relevant to what we're going to be talking about in the channel, but I don't know why I felt the need to include that. I mean, looking back, that's pretty funny, and I like the fact that in the video I was like, well, we're not going to spend too much time on that, and it is true, I am actually really afraid of spiders. So yeah, I guess that's some interesting channel lore.
I am arachnophobic very much. So yeah, let's just get right off that one.
Yeah, right off that.
Final fact, the 5th fact, who I'm basically a fan of on YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that. So on Twitch, she's also a YouTuber, is Elspeth, also known as Rated E with Elspeth. I don't believe she's called that anymore on
I used to be such a fanboy.
Twitch. But yeah, she's a really cool streamer. She streams all sorts of games on Twitch. Mostly watch her on Twitch. I have a rated E with L Swift hoodie, which I absolutely love. I believe I've worn it in videos before, but either way, I love that hoodie. The second person is Zelda Master. Now, if you guys have not seen Zelda Master YouTube, you guys need to check him out. He's got a new series that's came out recently called Opponent Express. There's 2 episodes, I believe, out right now. You guys.
Oh, I used to love watching Opponent Express on Zelda Master's channel. That was a brilliant little series he did back in the day.
So if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Leave a like down below. Comment some videos you'd want to see in the future.
I've also just noticed how like intensely close I was. You can, it's like I'm like this. Down below, guys. I don't know what all the hand gestures were about, but yeah, this was a pretty early video of mine, first proper year of making videos on this channel, and that's a fun start to this reaction segment, but things are only going to go downhill from here. So this next private video that I found on the channel is just titled Channel Update 2, but it's only 1 minute 34 seconds long, so let's take a quick look at this very important channel update.
Hey guys, Hyrule Gamer here today.
Yeah, the blonde hair, I don't know what that was about.
And as you can see the title down below, this is just a quick little video to tell you guys what's going on. And basically I've not uploaded in about 3 or 4 days now, or overdue for my usual Thursday video.
Oh my days. 3 or 4 days without an upload. Who could imagine the thought of that? You know, nowadays there's like, at bare minimum, at least a week between videos. Usually nowadays it's more like 2-3 weeks, depending on the project. But that's how into content I was at the time, that 3 to 4 days without an upload felt like I was just, I was irrelevant.
My new PC's for my birthday, and I'll be able to start uploading gameplay, more theories, more videos.
I'm also wearing the same Breath of the Wild shirt in this video.
Update video out to say that I am still here, apologising for not uploading on the Thursday, and that the uploads will return this week with hopefully 2 or 3 videos.
I felt like I was so massive and so important that because I didn't upload on my usual Thursday upload, apparently, I think that was the day I had access to my mum's laptop the most, so I think I just uploaded videos that day. But I really thought it was such a big deal if I missed an upload. I probably had anywhere between 25, 50, 100 at the most subscribers at this time, and I felt it was the end of the world if I was missing uploads. I was that strict with my like consistency that I felt that was such a bad thing if I missed that. I felt the need to post an update video, which looking back is just a little cringy, to be honest.
Share the channel out. My goal is 50 subscribers by the end of this year.
There you go. I wasn't even at 50 subscribers at this point, and I was stressing out about missing uploads.
I believe I'm on 42 currently. So yeah, let's try and make that happen, guys, and thank you so much for watching the video, it's much appreciated, and until the next time, guys, I've been Hyrule Gamer. See ya.
I used to rush through intros and outros for some reason. I don't know why I felt I was in such a hurry. But anyway, let's take a look at another video. Okay, we're now looking at a video on a channel that became before the Hyrule Gamer channel. This video was uploaded in August 2015, so not that long before I actually made this channel, but this was on the channel that I was doing before Hyrule Gamer, where it was a little bit more of a mix of games. I played some Mario, Zelda, but more so games like Call of Duty, FIFA, and those sort of games. Grand Theft Auto as well, can't forget that. But yeah, I did a little bit of everything, and this is episode 1 of my Mario Galaxy Let's Play. Prepare yourselves for the squeaker that you're about to hear. Do we still call kids on voice chat squeakers? Is that still a thing, or is that a thing of the past? I'm out of the loop.
Yo guys, what's going on? Vortex here today, and welcome to Let's Play Super Mario Galaxy. So yeah, I've already tried recording this, but for some reason the mic wasn't switched on. I don't think it was the actual mic, I think something was wrong with the line connection. Oh, it was just saying about... Oh... Well, that's some time wasted in the Let's Play. Great. Anyway,
great positivity, Adam.
Every 100 years, a comet appears in the skies. A nice little stroll run, and a jump into the castle grounds, and let's kick this Let's Play off. Here we
I
go.
was so
let's
into this.
Starbits, because we will need them on the way.
I love this. I mean, it's a little bit cringy, but I love this.
If these go down, I might actually just go silent until it speaks, so you guys can watch this.
Oh, I think I've said that as if like the game audio is
I'm back,
not played
guys.
in
I'm
the
not
video.
just gonna leave you to watch this boring bit with no sound. I might actually add in the sound in the next episode. I just forgot to. And I'm really
I was
not
aware
going
there was no sound. This is what I mean by everything was quite uncoordinated and unprofessional. If there were issues, I just went with it, and I just said in the video, I was like, screw it. Well, we'll sort it next time. I'm not re-recording. I'm already recording. Why would I re-record?
There we go. Nice little long jump over, and we have the Grand Star, guys.
Nice.
Not yet. There we do. So let's go pick it up. And what, the Goomba's still alive? I thought I lost connection to my Wii remote there, but I didn't. That's good. Anyway, we got our first Grand Star and slash star, I guess, because I believe they do go down to stars. Yeah, you got a Grand Star. Congratulations, Mario. Life achievement completed. Anyway,
what was that? Was that a quote from something, or did I just make that up on the spot? It sounds like it should be a quote from something, but I have no idea where I got that from.
That's the episode almost over. Mario's just going to fly over to the... whatever you call this place.
Whatever you call this
place. Got a good
place.
view of all the domes we're going to be covering, or whatever they are called.
So yeah, that was my Mario Galaxy Let's Play. Oh, how I wish I could say things get better from here, but they really don't. Alright, here is an interesting Zelda video I found on this old channel as well. This was in June 2015, and it's actually a reaction video to the Triforce Heroes trailer. Let's have a look at this.
So first of all, it's a nice little intro to the trailer. When one hero isn't enough. So it's a DS game, I think. Oh, this is pretty cool.
I'm sorry, can we just talk about how the first things I said about this was, it's a DS game, I think. I mean, I would have known that watching the trailer already. I would have seen in the title or the description. Great commentary, Adam.
The graphics, though, I'm not too sure on them. It does look a little bit like Phantom Hourglass, a little. I didn't particularly enjoy that game that much, but yeah.
Talking absolute nonsense as well. I absolutely love that game now. Maybe at the time, I guess, I just didn't really like it, but Phantom Hourglass is a great game.
Oh, see that little puzzle there? That's really cool. So far, I'd give this game a 8 out of 10 rating. It looks really good, so I'd go check this trailer out already if you haven't seen it, guys. Maybe make your own reaction video and comment a link to it below.
I was just a kid who loved Zelda and made YouTube videos. That's really what this is. Now, this next video that we're going to react to is something a little bit different. During my angsty years of being a high school teenager, I decided to start a little series on YouTube called School Stories. And what that series was basically stories from school, you know? Pretty fun. Here's the catch. I was an angsty teenager, and this was actually my way to vent my frustration at any stuff I had going on during school. And this first episode is specifically about a time that one of my teachers sent me out from class, and I wasn't having any of it. I'd also like to mention that these videos do come up from time to time in my friend group and are joked about, so they've stood the test of time. Let's have a little look.
Hey guys, what's going on? Vortex here today. As you can see, it's the title down below. It's an advanced horror gameplay, and with my new series, School Stories. So basically what this series is when I'm going to be telling you guys stories from my school, and this is the first episode. I'm going to tell you the most like story ever. It was period 3, and we were in a subject called Wider Achievements, which is where you go back to your form class. So basically, me, my friend, there was an empty chair beside me, but Ewan was sitting on the chair behind that he pulled out. And Kieran was sitting, if I looked to my left and keep going along, he was sitting there, next to my friend Robert, out to go get a pencil. I'm pretty sure that was what I got out for. And I couldn't get out because he was mucking about with the chair. So I crawled under the table to get out. Then, as I was trying to get back in, I had to obviously try and climb, but he was moving the chair at the same time, so it's kind of awkward. It's kind of hard to climb, so my form teacher calls me over and goes, Adam, and I went, yes, and he says, come here, and I went, what for? And he went, just come here, and then I went over to him, right, and then he says the weirdest thing, what do you think you're doing? So I says, I'm trying to sit down, and he goes, excuse me, and I went, I am trying to sit down. And then he says, that is very cheeky, young man, go stand outside.
The absolute angst on a younger me. I mean, at the same time, I still feel like I was in the right in this story. I'm going to be so honest with you. I remember this happening. I remember feeling like I was in the right. I was actually just trying to sit down. And when the teacher asked me, I didn't say it like the way I said in the video, but the first time I answered him, I did just say I was trying to sit down, and he took that as cheat.
And I was like, what do you think I'm primary 6? No, I'm not in the primary 6, man. I felt like I was being treated like that, because he sent me out and said that to me. So I was waiting there for about 10 minutes. Yeah, he sent me out. Because I tried to sit down, and then he came out and ranted at me, shouting at me, saying this. Do you think that's acceptable, young man? The way you were acting in that classroom, mucking about, dancing about, jumping on tables. And then I interrupted him and says I wasn't jumping on the table. And then he went, okay, maybe that was an exaggeration, right? And I went, yeah, it was. And he went, don't be cheeky to me. And I was like, okay then. And I can admit I was being a little bit cheeky, but who can blame me?
I still agree with that. I still agree that, yeah, I was a little bit cheeky, but that teacher was also taking the mick out of me. Like, I swear some teachers had little power trips like that, and as a student, you couldn't really do anything about it. Alright, that's enough from that channel. Now it's time to go back even further, to the very first YouTube channel I believe that I made. I'm pretty sure this is the very first one I made and uploaded on. If it's not, then I have no idea what would be, but I'm pretty sure this is it. This video goes back to April of 2013, and it's my very first Minecraft Let's Play. Prepare yourself.
Alright, welcome to the Minecraft Let's Play. We're starting a new world for the Let's Play. Just to say, this is just going to be a quick video. It's not going to be like some of my latest ones, about 1 minute long. This is going to be like, if this works out good, I'm going to continue the Let's Play. If it doesn't really work out, I'm not doing it. Alright, here was fun.
If it doesn't work out, not doing it. Sack it off. Probably my earliest memories of ever making videos.
There's the bonus chest. 1 torch. That's very nice. I've not even built a full house yet, and we've already got quite a bit of iron. Alright.
You know, the way I'm talking reminds me of that sort of feeling of when I was still too embarrassed to be making YouTube videos. Like, I didn't want anyone in the house to know. I didn't want my mum or dad to hear, or either of my siblings. That is the sort of vibe that this is giving, that I did not want anyone to know. And I know for a fact there was definitely a long period of time where I absolutely did not want people listening to me recording.
We'll come back and get the rest of the gold later. We don't really need it right now. So, let's go.
Well, the Hyrule gamer lore goes hard.
Go back for them.
I love that you can hear me, like, clicking the controller as I play as well.
Here, pig. Looks like it for now. Till next time. Goodbye.
I love that. I love that. It's just, that's it for now. Till the next time. Cheerio. And then I just turn the camera off. You can see me shaking it about. That is the setup I was working with originally. And this is what I mean. I've always wanted to do YouTube. I didn't care what it took. I just made videos. At this point, I didn't care about the quality. I was just having fun making videos. And over time, you learn new things, new techniques, how to improve things, subtle changes you can make, not so subtle changes you can make. And just over time growing up, especially if you start making YouTube videos quite young, you learn as you go. And I think it's a beautiful thing to look back on. I think that wraps up looking back on older videos. I don't know if I can handle too many more right now. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this, and let this show that everyone starts somewhere. Look at me now. I feel like, not to toot my own horn, but I think my channel looks, to some degree, professional and put together. This is where it all started. Everybody starts somewhere, so please remember that if you're trying to get into YouTube, if you're already into creating content in general, everyone starts somewhere. That concludes my 10-year anniversary special. This video turned out so much longer than I had originally anticipated, and to be honest, I had considered scrapping this and doing it all over for a shorter 15-minute video. But because of the magnitude of the 10-year milestone, I felt since it's a one-off video, why not go all in? I hope you enjoyed the Q&A and taking a look back at my older videos. If either or both of those are things you'd like to see again in a shorter capacity, be sure to let me know down in the comments. I want to say one more massive, incredibly appreciative, and honestly, just damn grateful thank you to everyone who has supported me over the past 10 years. From the amazing creators I've met and connected with, to my parents for allowing me to pursue my dream. But most importantly, to each and every one of you out there who watches my videos. Thank you. All of this truly means the world to me.